South Africa's city Port Elizabeth was renamed to Gqeberha. Here's why. Hello watchers, welcome back to Africa Revealed. As some of you might know, or maybe not, many of the cities and towns in South Africa are currently being renamed. Renaming a city or town is a big deal and not done without quite thorough thought. Today, we will be looking at the South African city Gqeberha, which was known as Port Elizabeth until early 2021. In this video, we will specifically be discussing the renaming and reason for renaming one of the most populated cities in the Eastern Cape. The city already had a few nicknames before the official change from Port Elizabeth to Gqeberha. Some people nicknamed it the Windy City, the Friendly City, iBhayi, and most cut it short to plain and easy PE. So why go through all the trouble to change a heavily populated city which already has a simple name? Watchers, sit back and relax while I take you through a quick journey through history. Before we continue, take a moment to subscribe to the Africa Revealed channel. If you're curious about things outside of your own country or even just curious about your own country, I urge you to join the Africa Revealed family, as we will keep you engaged and on the edge of your seats with lots and lots of new information. Last thing before we start spitting facts, remember to like this video and leave a thought in the comments. The answer to PE's name change in short is actually quite simple. We South Africans are very cultural and we love honoring our heritage. We even have a holiday called Heritage Day, which we celebrate on the 24th of September every year. But this particular holiday did not influence the name change, and we will still get to public holidays. The city's name change sparked great debate across South Africa between citizens of all languages and cultures. The reason for this is that firstly, the name Gqeberha is hard to pronounce, especially for those who do not speak Xhosa. And let's face it, just because Xhosa is the second most widely spoken first language in South Africa, it does not mean that it is all-inclusive. Non-Xhosa speakers are familiar with the click sound, as in they've heard it, but many struggle to get the pronunciation right and often give up trying to pronounce it correctly. The second topic of debate doubted the official and final reason given for the change. The official reasoning behind the name change is to be more inclusive of the culture found in the city. In this case, the biggest population of indigenous South Africans are from the Xhosa culture. Debate started because claims were made that Gqeberha is not even a Xhosa word, which is true. So how could the name change justify inclusiveness if it isn't even inclusive at all? What now? Let us have a closer look at the word Gqeberha and its origins. Gqeberha is a Southern Khoi word meaning full of firethorn tree. This particular tree is also known as Ciercia pyroides, or Daibos in Afrikaans. Now, this is prominent because the first people to have lived in the area were the Khoi and San people, who decided to name the river that flows through the area Gqeberha, named after the many firethorn trees that surround the river and the area. The breakdown of Gqeberha is thus Gqebe, that means firethorn tree, and Kha, meaning full of, therefore full of firethorn trees. The area was not named by the Khoi and San, but they named the river, and others that arrived there would refer to it as Gqeberha due to the river being there. Only later on did the Xhosas move into the area. Thereafter, the British established a colony. This makes Gqeberha an authentic Southern Khoi word, which was adopted by the Xhosas, known as a name for the river that flows through the area. The spelling of Gqeberha is not Southern Khoi, as Southern Khoi is based on another alphabet with more sound combinations and a more complex sound system than Xhosa. Southern Khoi is formed from the Kwekwe language and uses most sounds from its sound system. Gqeberha is therefore a Southern Khoi word which is written and spelled as if it were Xhosa. Because Southern Khoi was never a written language, the writing of Southern Khoi is dependent on the phonetic alphabet, which is not well known or understood by most people. The decision to blend the Southern Khoi word with the conventions of Xhosa spelling was therefore a wise one. The new name of the city is actually more inclusive than it would have been if it were just taken from Xhosa. It celebrates more than just the Xhosas, but also the original settlers, the Khoi and San. It takes the original word from the first settlers and modernizes it with the language of the second settlers, like the second settlers modernized and originated from the first. Because Xhosa uses the Lane alphabet, people who do not speak the language will have an idea of the spelling of pronunciation. In 1820, about 4,000 British settlers arrived in the area. which the Portuguese travellers previously called Gqeberha a mere 300 years earlier. The aim of the British was to expand the Cape Colony and strengthen their border with the Zulus. With this, the British made a city out of which was only a settlement and a stopover for traders. They built houses, churches, and established an autonomous municipality. The name Port Elizabeth is derived from Lady Elizabeth Francis, which was the late wife of the then acting governor of the Cape Colony, Ruffin Shaw Donkin. A lot has happened between the 1800s and the 21st century. The city exchanged hands a few times, survived, and caused suffering. But the name Port Elizabeth stuck and was used and known as Port Elizabeth until February 2021. As previously mentioned, the decision to change PE's name was made in the name of culture and heritage and can be seen as an act of cultural appreciation. PE was not the only city to undergo this change. There's a whole initiative in South Africa that aims to rename cities, towns, and villages in order to redefine the areas. Areas are renamed to landmarks of the area instead of giving it people's names and is therefore more inclusive to the community. Though this initiative is not responsible for all the name changes in South Africa, it was certainly responsible for Gqeberha's change. The idea to redefine the area is to match it to the culture of the city and to bring it back to its roots, but also to include the current population of the area. Port Elizabeth, for example, is not a British colony anymore. It is a combination of all different colors and cultures. It was renamed Gqeberha after the original name given to the river that flows through the area. In this way, it honors its first settlers, the Khoi and the San, and is more representative of the majority of its population, of which many are descendant from the original Khoi and San settlers. Not renaming it to a specific person makes the change more of a neutral one and easier to accept by other South Africans that are not necessarily of the Khoisan or Xhosa culture. Renaming a place to a landmark also gives the name a more direct connection to the geographical place. It is easier to remember the name of both the city or town and landmark in this way. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video interesting and that it only made you curious to find out more about the South African history and its cities. If the video only started to trickle your interest in history, perhaps you would enjoy a visit to the Bay World Museum in Gqeberha, which is an entire exhibit dedicated to the history of Gqeberha. But then again, thank you for watching and stay tuned for more fun and interesting facts about Africa. Remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment speaking your mind. Till next time.